Our next storyteller is Matt Summers. Come on, Matt.
So I'm standing in a classroom which is literally 10,000 miles from my house, looking out over a lot of very, very intimidating parents, sort of like now, and very, very Korean children. And I was in, so not North Korean, I'm not the North Korean ambassador despite how I might look, but I was in South Korea having, as a sophomore in high school, been sent there with $1,000 in my pocket, a free plane ticket, and like housing, and this kind of thing could only be run by two things. One of them being the 1% of the 1% of Korea who could buy America and sell it back to us for twice the price. And the other thing is a really terrible business plan, which involved sending people like me to Korea to then take us out to like get drunk with our boss in the evening just after getting off the plane, and then 8 hours later, standing in front of a classroom of children with no syllabus, no teaching experience, and no idea what to do. But I did have one thing, which is that my mom is an international business professor, and she taught me something, which was before I left. She told me very clearly, do not offend anyone. At all. And I was like, okay, like that seems pretty intuitive, until she gave me the example of the business card. Because if someone gives you a business card in Korea, at least back whenever my mom's international business textbook was written, so probably the 1900s, I was told to take the business card and hold it in both hands out in front of me and read the entire thing line by line, and then read it again. And then proceed to not put it in my pocket, but just hold it with me for the rest of the conversation. And I was like, Mom, like, doesn't that seem a little intense? And she's like, you will bring dishonor on their family. And I was like, Mom. But anyway, so I was very cautious of this. So that's the one thing I knew. So this little girl walks up to me holding a cup of espresso with her mom next to her and hands it to me. And I don't drink coffee at all. I think coffee is probably the worst. At least I'm getting into it now, but it's pretty bad. So I get handed this cup of espresso, and I'm like, well, like, I am going to get burned at the stake if I don't drink this. So I took it and drank the whole thing in one sip, and I was like, all right, well, at least I'm awake now. So I'm standing in front of this classroom of children, and they start to introduce themselves. And these are kids who, again, very, very, the kinds of kids whose parents will pay to fly me out to Korea, et cetera. I've been over this. So the thing is that, the kids start introducing themselves. They've been very Americanized, basically American washed since they were kids to be able to go to American schools. That's why they do a number of things, one of which is oftentimes many of the kids, maybe half of them, had names like Soo-young Kim or like Park Hae and these sorts of things, and the other half were Sally. And so I'm introducing myself to these kids, or trying to, except that there's this nice large Korean man next to me who's there to introduce me. He's part of the business, which is why it went bankrupt, who decided that the best way to teach middle schoolers was to have them get up at 6 in the morning and then go on a run with him and then do homework until 2 in the morning. So this is probably not best for middle school development, but I'm also, again, not an expert in educational policy. So what I am an expert in, though, is apparently being introduced falsely. So he walks me up to the front of the room and he goes, I go to Bates, like, by the way. Hey, everybody. He walks me to the front of the room and he goes, hello, everyone. This is Matt. He goes to Yale. And I'm like, yeah. You know what? I do. And I proceed to teach this class, which, again, not qualified to teach, don't really know what I'm teaching, but sort of teaching them what debate is as an activity and, like, make arguments, and that'll be good. So I'm trying to teach them this, and at the end of it, another precocious student walks up to me and goes, hey, so you study at Yale? And I'm like, you guessed it. And he's like, I went to Yale on a summer program last summer. What dorm were you in? And I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, that's above my pay grade. And so I'm like, all right, I live in Wilson. How about you? And he's like, never heard of that one. I'm like, that's really interesting. So I thought that was the end of it after I left Korea, until I'm at a debate tournament in America, and a large troop of Korean children walk up to me and go, Matt, you're from Yale. And I'm like, I thought I left this in Korea. From this, I learned that while school might not be everything where you attend school, in Korea, it is.